Welcome to the 2024 Phish Studies Conference Video Archive. The Mockingbird Foundation is thrilled and proud to present this groundbreaking video series on our YouTube channel. It continues our tradition of celebrating music education. Since 1996, we have been an all-volunteer nonprofit organization dedicated to broadening access to educational opportunities for youth in music and the musical arts. Please visit mbird.org to donate today.
I think I'm inclined to start. Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah, hi. Unlike another presentation I've recently given, this one will be slower and calmer and won't last long. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here this late in the conference. Again, thank you to Stephanie for just an amazing weekend, an amazing 4 days of things. And a bit of apology, we've had trouble assembling a panel of directors. Last time we had 5 here, but a variety of circumstances going on. People weren't able to come. Some people had to cancel last minute. But I'm pleased that Alison Kleiman is here, a fellow board member and graphics director and art marketing person and just a genius and a wonderful person. And Stephanie, of course, is on our board as well. I want to say a few things about sort of where we came from and then the different parts of the organization and what we try to accomplish. And it's a little oddly structured because, again, I was sort of organizing it for personalities, and now you've got mostly me and Alison razzing and correcting me when I screw up. So Mockingbird Foundation started with Phish.net. I got involved in Phish.net in 1992, and we were doing some of what I believe to be the earliest curated documentation about the band. Frequently asked questions, set lists, sort of early versions of what we now would call song histories. It started as a mailing list, and those in 91, but by the end of 91, those documents started emerging. And there was one gentleman who was doing the frequently asked questions file and was looking for somebody to take it over, and I, for no good reason, said, I'll do that. I've seen this band 3 times. I can answer some questions. And then somebody else wanted to pass off the set list, and I was like, well, I'm already doing the FAQ. I'll do set lists too. And 35 years later, I'm still stuck with doing some of those things. The website that emerged initially from Rosemary McIntosh, thank you, Rosemary, for your work, and has been under the auspices or handling of some other people over the years, has evolved. It started off, of course, as a static, I don't want to say bland, but it's a very 1993, 1994 website. And at some point after it changing hands, it sort of fell in my lap, as some other things did. And I've, as I've said earlier today, often been the one with the thumb in the dike, just making sure that things don't collapse and they maintain some of their structure and history. But I also want to give props to people who've done a much better job. And so 2010, Adam Scheinberg came in, totally rebuilt the site. It's now a relational database. You can create an account, click the shows that you've seen, generate personalized statistics, find other friends who have been at the same shows as you do, have been at, and it's really quite an amazing tool. And I'm not allowed to say much except that there is a new FishNet coming soon. They've rebuilt the entire architecture, partly so that it's not all on Adam's shoulders. For 14 years, nobody else really could do anything without Adam. And God forbid he get hit by a bus or something, we would be screwed. So it is now completely revised, and that will go live not as soon as you would like, but we will be glad when it is up. And hopefully in time to over the summer at some point. And it will involves a lot of improvements. It's going to run a lot smoother. It has some new features. It should be indistinguishable because it will look essentially the same, but it will operate smoother. It will most importantly be easier to add new features and updates, like some of the things that Paul and I have been talking about improving the show ratings, without having to go through Adam, frankly. And love and adore Adam, but it just isn't efficient for something this large and this mammoth to go through one person. One of the things that came out of Phish.net was the Phish Companion. We knew that there were people selling the set lists, printing out ASCII set lists, stapling them, and selling them for $20 on the lot, which is kind of bizarre that somebody would pay even a fraction of that, much less $20 for it. And that kind of, pardon the language, pissed us off, because we had invested blood, sweat, and tears in this voluntary curated documents that were meant for the community and not intended to inure to or benefit anybody. And we were the lizards. That person was Wilson, and had taken away the set list, which we called the Helping Friendly book. I mean, it couldn't have been more fitting for the story of Gamehenge. And it was now in the hands of avarice and greed. Somebody was profiting off not their work, but ours. And there were 3 volumes of another book that you might know about that were heavily, let's say, at least enabled by printing and selling the set list that we had done. So we realized, okay, we need to protect this IP. We're going to put our own book out. We don't want to benefit by it in any way. And there are people who think that we benefit. I should say up front, there no staff, no salaries, no office. This is entirely volunteer, entirely altruistic, and much to the consternation of my wife and sometimes other people. So we had to, in order to protect that IP, we needed to incorporate as a foundation, as a nonprofit, and make sure that the IP and the revenues were owned by somebody else. And we've gone through now 3 editions of that book. The first one, which looked very much like a phone book, not enjoyable to look at, much less read. The second one was an improvement. And by the way, we tried to, we added some women to the audience for the second edition, because otherwise it was all boys on the cover. The third edition was an entirely different operation. I talked about it last time. I encourage you to go check out the video from the 2019 conference. But I once again want to give huge props to Philip Zerbo for taking it out of my hands. Many things in terms of Phish.net and Mockingbird have done much better when there is less Ellis. So I've had a mantra for about 5 or 6 years of reduce the Ellis, get somebody else to run the show, do things just like Paul is doing at the ratings. And things are much improved. So we incorporated as a nonprofit, started the discussions in late 96, sorry. I learned about it, not 86, learned about it New Year's Eve 96, and incorporated March of 97. And early on, it was 12 hippie college friends, but Charlie Dirksen doesn't like to be called a hippie. But the rest of us were, long-haired, dirty, smelly, tie-dye wearing people. And it was a very shoestrings, grassroots thing. The average donation at the time was $12. And now the board are professional graphics designers and accountants and lawyers and professors. And I don't mean to flaunt status, but we are older, more mature people. The average donation similarly has risen from $12 to close to $250. So the organization, the fan base, the community has evolved with us. And we have, in the part of that process, professionalized the organization too. And I want to say a few things about that. By the way, all the pictures you hear are also from the amazing work that Alison did for the interstitials, which have been showing between the presentations, and all of these are previous and recent grantees from the work that we've done. So we have always had volunteer working groups. Some of those have been standing groups. There's a group of people, especially Scott Marks, Biz Archive, Charlie Dirksen, and Steve Paolini, who have overseen set list decisions and song history decisions. We also have a standing committee of people who help us review grants. And I welcome any of you who are interested to get involved. We get far more grants than even Ellis wants to read each year, somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000, and far more than we could possibly fund despite the generosity of the community. And so there's an inquiry review committee that reviews grants every January 15th to March 15th. And we would love to have your help involved in that process. Christy Articola from Surrender the Flow and others of you have been involved in that process over the years, and we would welcome that. We also have at some points had ad hoc temporary, that is working groups for the Phish Companion, for example. Philip Zerbo's group for the 3rd edition was a relatively temporary group. We had a group which Stephanie led for a COVID relief grant. Led, I think, is appropriate to say? Co-led. She doesn't want to take the credit she deserves. Stephanie's amazing. So there was a group to provide some grants during when COVID hit and to help music programs that were hard hit by the pandemic. That's sort of the history of sort of making things up as we went along. But in the last 5, 6 years, we have heavily professionalized and formalized a lot of what we're doing. So one of that was we revised the bylaws, which I again want to give props to Jimmy Buffett and his people. Mockingbird would not exist without Jimmy Buffett and his foundation. I put a post up on Phish.net about that, and they were immensely helpful. One of the things we did was basically copy their bylaws, more or less, with some minor tweaks. But Phil Harrison, a recent board member, and I went through and edited every sentence, and we made 1,200 edits and completely revised the bylaws to reflect what we are now and what it is that we're doing now. Instead of me being the bookkeeper in Excel, which I was for 12 years, finally got QuickBooks. We have a bookkeeper. Trust that your dollars are being counted appropriately, not just by me with formulas making a mess. And in the recent 2 or 3 years, Bill Ryan, our treasurer and now board president, has started doing budgeting. So we're watching, and it's not like we need to make sure the lights get turned on, because again, we have no office. We have very little overhead. The hosting for FishNet is not insignificant, but beyond that, it's postage for grant checks and the accountant and bookkeeper and filing taxes and that sort of thing. But we want to keep an eye on how much money we're bringing in and putting out each year, and that has helped us keep a better eye on things, both in the short and the long term. We've also expanded the board, so instead of being 12 hippie friends who knew each other mostly around the DC, Virginia area, we have a number of new directors. I think we've now at this point have more emeritus directors than current directors, because there have been some ebb and flow and people who've come in for a year or two. And if you're interested in being involved, there's a video coming up where Bill Ryan will invite you to let us know that you're interested. We also completely revised the board. So instead of, there were 4 or 5 people who did everything, and of course Ellis had his hand in all of that. Now there are 8 or 9 committees, one on marketing, one on merchandise, one on events, one on grant making, one on development. So we really focus efforts with people who have expertise in areas. And if you have expertise in any area, we could probably, I'll be blunt, make use of it and put you to work helping out other teams of people who are doing those same sort of things. So in terms of grant making, I'll start there. We have competitive grants. I say this not with pride, but with humbleness, that we are more competitive than an NIH grant. We fund a smaller percentage than the NIH does. Now, partly that makes sense, because you don't apply for an NIH grant unless you really sort of have a chutzpah and you got a chance of getting it. We hear from a lot of groups that it's a long shot. They need money. Music and arts funding is getting cut first and rapidly and heavily everywhere. I've been both a PTA member and a booster treasurer, which my wife also didn't appreciate. That lasted several years, even beyond when my kids were in high school, because I'm a moron. And I will tell you that those programs don't happen often without parental involvement. So those of you with kids, I encourage you to get involved. Those of you who don't have kids, get ready. We have just completed the decision-making, or completing now the decision-making for our 29th competitive round of grants. And that involves a series of stages. The inquiries come in first. That's the piece I mentioned earlier. Then we request full proposals. We do a fairly serious vetting and due diligence on their finances and background and context, and we look for things like making sure that they're historically disadvantaged, marginalized populations when we can. Starting last year, we realized that some of the small money requests for instruments were just getting missed. So we sidelined those early in the process. We named them, I think this was Alison's idea, name them the Finch funds, right? Because, you know, birds and cute and stuff, and little cute Finch things.
I think finches are like the strongest little bird. I think that's what I was Googling, like, what's a strong little bird? So, finch funds.
That's fitting, yeah. She should interrupt me more. This guy talks way too much. So anything less than $2,000 or $2,000 and under, mostly instruments, a few other sort of hard physical assets, but things where we knew if we put the money there, it would make a long-term difference. And you can see here, year over year, the increase in the competitive grant distributions or disbursements we've made each year. In recent years, we've given away between 100 and 140,000 each year. We'll be announcing 140,000 more grants next month, right before tours starts. And you can see that the aggregate amount is going up. Just the competitive grants now exceed $2 million. We'll top $2.5 million in June, and we think we will hit our 700th grant and $3 million by about this, 700th grant this summer with the tour grants that we do, and $3 million I think we'll hit this time next year. We also have a number of other tranches of funding that we do. So emergency grants. We're entering tornado and then hurricane and wildfire season, and we look for any music education program that have been hit. In fact, we call local schools and newspapers and say, hey, we know things suck. Is there any way we can find a way to give you money? Did you lose some instruments? Did you lose some sheet music? Is there equipment that got damaged? And sometimes they say there's no school. I mean, sometimes it is the worst answer we could imagine, but we look for it. And so we welcome you as well if you know of any program that has been hit by flooding, vandalism, so not just acts of gods, but act of moral outrage as well.
We had the big Vermont grant after the floods last summer.
Yeah.
Was it last summer? Yeah. So that was.
I think.
Yeah. So that was. And then I think there was another Massachusetts school that like the roof caved in.
Yeah.
Of their like right on top of their music program. So it's like we got to do it.
Katrina, we did 15 grants. When there was a hurricane that hit large swaths of Florida, we hit 8 or 9 down there. So we've done sort of clumps of things as well. We give a tour grant in each city that Phish plays. It's not about whitewashing or greenwashing or whatever you call it, but it is about circling back to the communities and doing a good thing where music has happened. And we know that we touch their communities, and it's not exactly an apology, but it is or a repayment, but it is an engagement with those communities to recognize that we understand that we appreciate being welcomed and tolerated, and we want to support those communities as well. The foundation was started in large measure by Craig DeLucia, who lives in the Carolinas, and the book was his vision, the foundation was his vision, and can't thank Craig enough. Craig, if you're out there, love and adore you, brother. And so I got the idea from the American Association for Public Opinion Research. They give an award each year for innovation in survey design. And it not only recognizes that important work, but also sort of identifies APOR as those who look for innovation. I thought, oh, Mockingbird should do that. So we started giving the DeLucia Award to people who are doing innovative work in music education, and also sort of says, hey, Mockingbird is looking for innovative work in this area. And so it is roughly every 2 years, and if you know anybody who might be worth nominating for that, please nominate them. And then we have what we had called out-of-cycle grants, and we've now named Helping Friendly grants, including we gave $25,000 to an opera house.
The Lebanon Opera House in New Hampshire to bring in a group called the String Queens or something like that. It was a group of black string players that came into Lebanon and worked workshops with students in the area, and then did a residency at the Lebanon Opera House. And yeah, it would seem like it was pretty cool for that community to be with these, high-class musicians and working with students.
And that was part of celebrating their 100th year. And I also mentioned, look at your calendars and look in your local newspapers. A lot of arts organizations, music organizations, community theaters, bands, symphonies started about 100 years ago. So you're going to start seeing centennial celebrations for all kinds of things. They're going to be asking for you for your money, of course, and you should give it, of course. Here is a similar chart with all of the grants. So the red pieces are the non-competitive grants. And some years, like the COVID year, we were able to give away more. It's largely a function of what we learn about. We are sitting on some cash that we're looking for ways to give away, and it's sometimes quite difficult, as I've said a few times today, just to get a signature that says this is what you're going to use the money for, because it sounds like a Nigerian scheme, right? Who are you? You're Phish what? And why are you giving us money?
Didn't we run into problems with that with the Sphere? Like there was a school that just didn't respond. It was like, don't you want $1,000 for your music program? So we had one Sphere grant instead of 2.
The amount of hurdles that we have to go through and cross indemnifications and legal hurdles just to give you some cash is quite frustrating. So we have embedded within here 4 short videos from other directors who weren't able to come today. This one is from Mike Bove, who is the chair of the grant making committee, and I'm hoping you'll be able to hear this.
Hi everybody, I'm Mike Bove. I'm a current director on the foundation, and I also chair the grant making committee. You've just heard a little bit of our illustrious history here on the board in general and the grant making program specifically. And we're so excited. We've just given away quite a number of awards in our Finch Fund program, and we're about to complete our 29th round of regular competitive grants. So year 30 is ahead. And we're also looking forward to summer tour, not just for the reasons you all are, but also because we're excited to give away tour grants in each city where Phish plays to worthy programs and schools. So I hope you all have enjoyed this weekend. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there with you all. Enjoy the rest of it, and please don't let Ellis talk too much longer.
Thanks, Marv. So fundraising events, we have a number of them that are organized by the foundation. So I run a charity golf tournament in Denver each year. For several years, it was an excuse to go see Phish, but now it has become a thing that I sort of have to do, right? We have 120 players who will come out for shotgun start Saturday morning at 8:30, and if you know anybody who plays golf and is going to Dick's, please encourage them to come. It sells out almost every year, and they have a ridiculously good time. I can't get complaints from those guys. They won't tell me what to change. We were just talking about doing a survey about this. I send them a survey every year, and they just gush. So we would love to see you out there as well. We do wine events. David Beckwith, who's a board member, he's a wino. He's a professional. Like, he knows vineyards and that whole world, and that's his career. And so he's done a series of events, typically in New York, before one of the MSG shows, and perhaps we'll see you at some of those. Zizix, the timer, David Steinberg, has organized road races, runs. In fact, he's running an 8K today, so go timer. And he's done, I think, 3 or 4 of those. The Mockingbird Sessions, to celebrate the 25th anniversary, we had a series of bands perform under the sort of cover of the pandemic, and all of those are up on our YouTube channel. We encourage you to go check those out. Just some amazing, Christian McBride and Neighbors and all sorts of amazing music. It was really quite fabulous. There are also a number of other events that are organized by partners and others who support the foundation. Pete Mason, who couldn't be here this weekend, Fan Art, has done things for 15 or 20 years, donating significant stacks of cash to support what we're doing. There have been 5 or 6 different yoga masters who have run yoga events to support the foundation and just sort of throw down donations on the door. And I think we're going to have at least one of those in Denver this year as well. I think we have 5 or 6 events in Denver this year. Phish Studies Conference is another one. We are very honored and proud to be able to support this. And I still have no idea what the budget is, but I'm honored that we were able to support and help make things happen here as well. This is, wait a minute. That was too fast. I was going to introduce him before he started talking. This is Mike Przybylski, who helps run the golf tournament and is the director of events. No? Come on, Mike. I should have just let him talk, right?
Hello, my name is Mike Przybylski, and I am a director on the board of directors for the Mockingbird Foundation, and I also serve as the development and events committee chair. We have done several great events throughout the years, like the Mockingbird Sessions, some wine dinners and tastings, and benefit concerts, just to name a few. Coming up, we have the 9th annual runway opening golf outing happening Labor Day weekend in Denver during the Dick's Run, and registration is currently available. So if you're a golfer and plan to be at the Dick's Run, we would love to see you out on the course. If you cannot make it, there is a virtual option that we're offering too. And we're going to be having the 2nd annual Wing Soup Open Disc Golf outing happening that weekend as well. We are still planning some more great events for 2024, and we would love to hear suggestions. So if you have any ideas for an event, or would like to host a benefit supporting the Mockingbird Foundation, please feel free to reach out to me at mike@mbird.org, and we can continue the conversation. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
So merchandise, obviously one way to raise cash is to sell people stuff. So we've tried to do some of that. Some of those are curated items like the Phish Companion. Obviously we've done 3 editions and sold out all of each of the printings we've done of those. The most recent edition sells for, I think, $450 on Amazon because it is gorgeous. I did a tribute album several decades ago and might be working on a sequel. Can't say much about it. But the first one included the Wailers, their first recorded track in 10 years with their original producer, Dave Matthews, Sun Seals, Arlo Guthrie, Jimmy Buffett, Stanford Marching Orchestra. Amazing stuff. Please fire it up on Spotify or anywhere else. Every time you listen to those tracks, it helps generate grant money. We're still earning about $200 a week from that 20-something years later. So to dial up Spotify. We've also done a series of posters. We've worked with all the artists that you might know of, Mass Day and Kerrigan, et cetera, and done a fantastic series of posters, including 8 that Marco Walsh, a previous board president, had curated for the 3rd edition of the Phish Companion. And then we have the sort of standard things, hats and balls and shirts and pins and koozies. In fact, there's some Phish.net koozies out there I do not want to take home, so I expect them to be gone when I get out of here. Please take them. And we've worked with a number of stores, so I want to give props to Port Merch in North Carolina. They've served us really well for 20 years, and we continue to work with them on some things. We've had stores on Amazon and elsewhere. CD Baby is how we get to every download service there is without any hassle or overhead, and they've been tremendously supportive of us for several decades. And we have a new store which is now launching soon, and we've started offering prints, and we'll have some sort of evergreen items that will be there, and we hope to be publicizing that in coming days or weeks.
Thanks to everybody that bought that recent poster. If anyone is in there that got that beautiful foil poster that we did for the Sphere, it was like insane how many people bought it. I don't think we were expecting it, and it was a limited timed run, and it was the first time we had done something with kind of this new store model, and it was fabulous. So if anyone in here got it, I think ours is waiting for us on our porch when we get home, and it's beautiful. So be on the lookout for more things in that kind of new general direction too, with some amazing artists.
Yeah, we expect, I think they were going to print 100, and I thought that was a little low, so they did pre-order.
And I think we did 320 posters. So, and then also we had that great Phish.net kind of throwback sweatshirt that also you were skeptical of, and we've sold like 1 million of. So I think the moral of the story is if Ellis is skeptical of it, we're going to do it because it does. Things do great. So
I'm very risk averse.
Since I started, things have been selling. So let's figure this out.
If you need to hire a graphics designer for any work, I don't know if she's looking for the work.
I'm not going to plug myself here.
She's fantastic. Yeah, Chris Calarco, I should give a shout out to for that shirt, because I told him you're not going to sell 20, and he sold like 240. So what the hell do I know? So this is Adam Detsky, who's in the Denver area and a fantastic attorney, and who has been the one over the last year who's been driving the new store and the new merch effort, and he has a few words to say as well.
Hello, my name is Adam Detsky. I'm a practicing attorney in Denver, Colorado, and a member of the Mockingbird Foundation Board of Directors. I'm honored to be a member of the Board of Directors for the Mockingbird because the Mockingbird does what I so deeply believe in, which is getting an education to youth in music and the arts that they otherwise might not have had the opportunity to get. I credit Phish, I credit music, I credit the arts with helping shape who I am today. One of my jobs on the board is I'm one of several board members who work on the merchandising side of the foundation. And what we're trying to do is channel that energy of love of music and art into unique pieces of art that you can't find anywhere else, using prominent artists throughout the music scene and the art scene to create one-of-a-kind masterpieces for our membership. The idea is to give something to everyone to be proud of, to hang on their walls, to show off, to be able to start that conversation and say, I got this poster because I support this organization, and this organization does a lot of good, and let me tell you why. It's so important that we get these kids every opportunity in the world. We hope you'll come visit our store as we evolve products and drop new posters all the time. Our next posters are coming up shortly with Summer Tour, where we have a great artist, very prominent among the scene, and then another artist, a different artist, coming in to do another poster for Monday Green, the Phish Festival in August. More coming after that. We just dropped some golf balls into the store. I hope you'll visit. I hope you'll enjoy, and I hope you're having a great time at this conference. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Ellis. Thank you for everyone who's organizing it.
Adam and I don't want to say that the Mockingbird Sphere poster was better looking than the official one, but that's what we think. So, development, should I?
Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe you can kick it off and I can kind of just keep chiming in.
Okay. Ellis should talk less. So we have a series of annual campaigns we do. You may get an email if you've registered on Phishnet, and at least let us know what your first show you've seen is. You'll get an email every year that says, hey, this is the 3rd year or 33rd year, whatever, since your first show. Why don't you donate $33, $1 for each of those years to celebrate? And that has been amazingly successful, not only in raising funds, but engaging people about their history with the band and their experience with it, and generating a lot of love for the community. So that's been a fantastic thing. We do a back-to-school campaign in September each year, which has also raised significant money. We're involved, of course, in Giving Tuesday, and of course, a few of the other sort of standard things, and wouldn't happen without Alison's heavy work. Steve Paolini, who's general counsel for the board, started a thing, I think 3 years ago, Good Karma Pledges. So you pledge, if they'll, for every runaway gym that lasts longer than 20 minutes, I'll donate $50, right? Or for every jam longer than 20 minutes, I'll donate some X amount. And there are a handful of different categories you can pick from, or you can invent your own category, and you pledge some amount, and it's sort of honor system. We'll contact you later and say, hey, this is what you said you were going to do. Could you kick down to do it? And almost 100% people follow through, and has raised maybe $15,000, $20,000. I mean, it's significant funds from people sort of making a commitment about their love and their expectations, seeing Phish pay off without knowing that they were supposed to, and then that raising money. We've also started being better about major donor outreach. So we've been calling and contacting people. We're very honored that there's some donors who now donate 10, 20, in a few cases 25,000 each year. And some of those are family foundations. Some of those are people with just deeper pockets than I, who aren't state employees and teachers. And so we're very glad that they're in the community and supportive of what we're doing. Bill Ryan, the newest president of the board, started a project with coasters with QR codes, which are being put in bars. I think we're now in...
Yeah, I can talk a little bit more to this one, I think, because I'm still relatively new. I've been with the board, I've been with the organization for like a year and a half. So the coaster project has been started since I've started. Yeah, it's kind of on coasts at this moment, the kind of Boston area and kind of LA area. Various bars that are having shows that are in kind of the jam world are agreeing to kind of just put our coasters out on the table instead of whatever free booze one they got from the distributor. And it's a little QR code that, sends you to Mockingbird, and you can toss a couple bucks our way while you're sitting there enjoying music. I think LA Dead Night has been kind of pretty cool about it. I think Brooklyn Bowl actually put stuff out in Vegas. David was texting me that during fan art they were putting things out there. So it's like a really low cost of entry for these places to be helping us. They don't pay us anything, and we can then say this bar is supporting us. And in our kind of revived email communication and some social media marketing, we can promote your space, and you can help promote us. So it's like a really low barrier of entry to get some support. I mean, I think we've gotten a couple $1,000, maybe $1,000. It's only been in a couple different venues, so it's, coasters cost 50 cents, and so we're making our money back, and it's hopefully spreading the word.
Yeah, and again, I'm the risk-averse guy, so I poo-pooed this initially. I sort of did the math for Bill because I'm a stats nerd. I'm like, okay, on a four-top, we're going to have to get this amount on every third four-top in order to cover the cost of the coasters. And we had a couple of early donors who the cost is already covered, at least on this pilot program. And people are being more generous than I expected. These aren't Phish fans as far as, but they're just strangers walking to an LA or Boston bar who are like, yeah, I'll support music education. So if you have a bar or restaurant or other venue where coasters might be appropriate, we would love to send you some and get some of those on the table. And we are edging into planned giving. I thought the pandemic was the right time to say, hey, you might die.
This is why we have directors of marketing and it's not Ellis writing emails.
Right. I'm not the social marketing person, but there's a chance that each of you is someday going to die. And so a will is something to think about, and we'd love for you to think about Mockingbird Foundation. And Bill Ryan is starting the process of educating people on how do you start thinking about estate planning and long-term planning and annuities and things like that.
We are an aging fan base, as we learned about.
Speak for yourself.
Death is inevitable, as we learned from Jay earlier.
Yeah. Wills and annuities. There we go. This is not my piece. Should I just throw up the...
Yeah, tell me what the bullets were going to be. Yeah, all right. Too fast. I talk fast, but not that fast. Okay, so since I started, I've tried to kind of revive some of the social channels. It's really difficult when you're a volunteer-run organization. I think at first the energy is really high, and you want to, like, everyone hits the ground running, and then you kind of, like, peter out. So trying to think about how to sustainably run both the Mockingbird Instagram, Facebook, Phish.net Instagram, Facebook, and keep myself away from Twitter/X and the other ones. So we do have other volunteers that are more active on there, like Scott and Charlie and people that have more followers already. So I kind of let them run those worlds, but as an Instagram and Facebook probably super user at this point. God, I've been on Facebook for more than my life than I haven't been, which is like weird. Like really just trying to figure out like what our goals are on those spaces. To like we can't compete with like the meme accounts, right? Like, and also a lot of the people that follow Mockingbird are not Phish people. Like most of our grants are going to not Phish people, so they don't want to see Phish things. They don't know what that is. So just trying to figure out like the kind of balance between what can I put on .net that is also on the .net like blog, and then what goes on Mockingbird that's like going to be interesting to our followers but also interesting to like teachers, and like so I'm still learning that. I'm still trying to figure out like what the balance is between like grant stories and like you guys that give us money want to know where your money's going, and also like funny things sometimes. So like I've been trying to live stream, or not stream, but like live story this conference, but I'm like, what goes on Mockingbird's part and what goes on .net's part? So it's like, you know, we're all kind of learning it and figuring it out, but and then we're all also volunteers. So it's like I might have a busy week at work and I can't do this, so it's going to be dead for a while. But also it was dead for like years. So, you know, I think the Phish.net Instagram just reached like some plateau of followers that was exciting, like 3,000 or something, and like it had like 15 posts. I think the last one was like 2021 during Mockingbird sessions, and then like now we have more things. So it's a hard thing to kind of pace, but I think as we gather new volunteers and have fresh kind of content being built, like we'll figure it out. But yeah, it's a hard balance when we're Phish people, but the people that are getting stuff from Mockingbird are not Phish people. So I'm still trying to learn it, but I don't know if that even answers any of these questions. But yeah, similarly, our email like newsletters had kind of been dead for a while. It was just kind of everything was just always asking for money. So we're trying to figure out how to kind of just keep you guys aware of what we're doing while also just subtly asking for money, but just showing you that like we are legitimate and here's where your money has gone and here are some cool things we're up to, and then also kind of this new partnership model, like kind of giving the kind of scratching our back, we're scratching yours kind of thing. So yeah, all while trying to like also work for myself all the time. So I'm a full-time freelancer, so I have time to do this, but I also like, we have a small team of really excited volunteers, and we have meetings, and everyone's really excited, and then like 2 days later, everything has been forgotten about. So just trying to pace things out. I mean, if I'm being very frank up here, but yeah, I think just follow us on all these things and hold us accountable to posting things. Yeah, we're on all the platforms, including some of the ones I don't want to talk about that Ellis is obsessed with that being on. And I don't do like forums or anything. I don't know what the boys part of the internet is about. But yeah, that's also kind of fun. I don't know if people know that a girl is running all this social. But yeah. Oh, and then also we have a new mbird.org in the works, because our current website, bless its heart, is very 1990 something. So we'll have a big rollout when that comes out, and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be contemporary, and you're going to be able to read all about the amazing grants that we've given, and it'll probably be easier to donate and buy things and be part of it. So
she didn't want to mention that I created I created an account on Truth Social, and we have 2 posts and no followers. So if you're on Truth Social, also I think we need a TikTok, because that's where the kids are, but nobody wants to dance with me. So.
Hey everybody, it's Bill Ryan, president of the Mockingbird Foundation. Just wanted to check in, and I hope you guys are all having a great time at the conference. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of the Mockingbird Foundation, our structure, and give you some ideas that on ways that maybe you can help us out. So to start, our mission, the Mockingbird Foundation, our mission is to broaden access and educational opportunities for young people in music and the musical arts. I think the one thing that's obviously connects all of us who are within earshot of my voice right now is our love for music. And one of the things that we want to make sure continues on is that that students have access to instruments, to programs, and to opportunities to be able to keep music programs across the country thriving and growing. So the way the foundation is structured, we have several different committees. We have an events committee that also focuses on, that also works with development. We have a marketing, social media, and merch committee. We have a finance committee, and we have a grant making committee. We have some other committees, but these are really the core committees that we definitely would love to have some more help with. So on the event side, we've got a couple of big events coming up. Obviously, you're at one of them right now, but we have the 9th annual Runaway Open Golf Tournament, which is going to be the weekend of the Dix Run. And that same weekend, we have the 2nd annual Wingsuit Open, which is our disc golf tournament. We have lots of other events going on throughout the year, but we definitely would love people to help out with planning events, with creating opportunities for us to have events throughout the year at local communities in your area. On the development side, obviously, we'd love for you all to be an ambassador for the Mockingbird Foundation, to continue to spread the word, let everybody know about the foundation and the good work that we're doing, and hopefully grow and expand our donor base and those that are participating in us being able to achieve our mission. Also on the development side, one of the things we've recently started doing is increasing our partnerships. So we're trying to work with bars, venues, restaurants, coffee shops, you name it, anyone that has an audience that might be interested in helping support our mission. So you may have seen our coaster initiative that we just started recently, where we've developed coasters with QR codes that we've been placing at various venues, for concerts, for even if it's just a restaurant, and we're expanding that into some other types of places, like I mentioned, coffee shops and other places like that. So if you know anybody who owns a venue, or if you have any ideas for places that might be a good partner in that vein, please let us know. The partnership initiative is not necessarily just limited to the coasters. We'd love to work with venues and restaurants and et cetera on different ways that we can partner together to make sure that we're working to fulfill our mission of providing funding for music education for kids. On the marketing side and socials and merch, if you have skills and or connections in the graphic design area, social media, marketing, and or merch, we would love to have your help, so please reach out. And then on the finance side, if you're a numbers person, the finance committee works on budgeting, works on planning, making sure we communicate the financial status of the foundation to the rest of the board, and communicate our progress towards our goals. So if you have an interest in that, or if that's in your wheelhouse, if that's what you do for a profession, we definitely would love to talk to you. We could use some more help in that area. On a related matter, lawyers, CPAs, financial advisors, wealth managers, people that are in those fields are obviously great candidates to help out with finance, especially folks that have some familiarity with planned giving strategies. We're really looking to expand our planned giving program, which, for those who aren't familiar with planned giving, essentially just means folks who plan on leaving funds to a nonprofit. In this case, there's many different strategies that can be employed to ultimately provide funds for a nonprofit as part of your estate plan. And then lastly, grant making. Obviously, that's the crux of what we do, or the core of what we do. Our round 29 finalists, as you may have already heard, I'm not sure yet if you've already heard about this, but our round 29 finalists are currently being reviewed, and we should have those announced sometime in the second half of June, but we can always use help reviewing grant applications. So if you're interested in working with our grant making committee as a volunteer, please do not hesitate to reach out. So again, all of these committees, we could really use some help on the good work that each of these committees are doing. But if you just want to reach out and ask some questions and just sort of spitball and see if there's some ways that you might be able to help out, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is wkryan@ember.org, and my cell phone is so please feel free to shoot me a text or give me a buzz, and we can connect and have a discussion. Again, hope you're having a great time at the conference, and I look forward to seeing and meeting some or all of you out there this summer. Take care, everybody.
We'll make sure we bleep his phone number when this goes on the internet.
We should all call him right now.
Hi, Bill.
So the other sort of Ellis shouldn't control messaging thing is we're starting to look beyond the band. We did this when they went on what they called a breakup, which I didn't take seriously as a permanent breakup. I know they needed to call that for Trey's health and whatever, but it was the third hiatus. But we started a fund then we called the Reunion Fund, right? And we had to stipulate as part of those collections, what happens if there is no reunion, right? What happens if, God forbid, during this breakup, that was it? That wasn't just the last show, but the final show. And right now, the last show was the Sphere, but hopefully that, of course, doesn't stay the last one, right? We never know. Hopefully it's never like Coventry again. Hopefully the last just sort of surprise becomes a final. See, Ellis shouldn't do the messaging.
Yep.
So Phish will not outlive us. Mockingbird will outlive the band's performance or lives, or however you want to categorize it. So we're starting to think, what does that mean for Mockingbird? Do we just sort of wind down because it was about this community and this audience and these fans, and we've done our thing and done our piece in generating altruism and contribution, or do we expand? So we're thinking in terms of the context and continuity of the organization. For many years, the mantra was, I've always said, I'm going to get hit by a bus. I'm super clumsy. It's going to be quick and fast, and it's going to screw a lot of people. And I was the only one with the passwords and the keys and the checkbook and the access and everything. And so I can't underestimate how important it is that now I could get hit by a bus, and Mockingbird will be completely unaffected. That
I have the credit card number now, though, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, don't aim for me. But so in terms of the organization, we've thought beyond that. I also mentioned. Trey called years ago when they decided they would donate a portion of the funds from Live Phish to Mockingbird. In fact, we had just walked in the door from a camping trip for Thanksgiving, and my wife answers the phone back when we had landlines. It says, Trey? And hands me the phone. She was sort of surprised. And long conversation, but the crux of it was, he did not recognize, and I still don't think appreciates the extent to which just stepping on the damn stage changes lives. And that isn't important to him, didn't strike him as significant or a contribution to the world, frankly. And he wanted to do something that was making a difference in the world. And I kept saying, dude, you don't get it. But he wanted to, and he used this phrase 2 or 3 times during the conversation, complete the cycle that they started for music educators and his mother and others in their family in getting them to embrace music and how much it has improved their lives. And we wanted to bring that back. And so we want to make sure we're completing the cycle well beyond Phish and life. I've already sort of puffed on the breakup and the unspoken, which I'm not supposed to talk about. We are now starting to expand outreach. Part of that is through cafes and restaurants and other things, and we're working with other fan communities, Neighbors and Goose, love the Goose, and we're looking to message to those other audiences, and not to sort of slide into those spaces and say, hey, Goose fans, now we're sort of sitting at your table, but to reach out to them and say, hey, this is something we're trying to do that isn't just Phish related. It's about supporting music education and kids and these things that have contributed to the appreciation of music that all these bands and fans share. We have, as part of that, sort of de-Fishified or de-wooked the website. The Mockingbird website doesn't mention, I counted Phish, was mentioned 24 times on the homepage, and that doesn't jibe well with somebody who, whose kid has seen some Phish shows and they saw that we support music education. They don't want so much Phish in their face. So we want to remind you that's where we started and where we are and where we'll continue to be as long as we can and as long as the band is around. But that's not necessarily and solely what we're about. And then the out-of-network sort of presence, the coasters and things that have nothing to do with necessarily any band or any particular audience. We're also interested in celebrity engagement. So if anybody I talked to somebody who knows Drew, and we'd love some, I'd love some 6-7-figure donations or some visibility or whatever could be extended by those with more power than we have. That's all I have. We're happy to take questions. Thank you very much for coming.